Yeah, so
That's
I mean,
perfect.
I did the WCBs for forever since they started, and I think I've been on the team for. I was on the WCB team like 8 times. National champion with the WCB like 5 times. One time with the AFA. One time national champion there. Qualified 2 times top 10 at Calgary. Won the World Horseshoeing Classic in 2 different teams. Yeah, so those
Dude,
are
that's
those are the
incredible.
those are the
Yeah.
main those are the main ones right there. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could win a contest in Texas, and it's like you had to give it everything you had. So it's like they're all very prestigious, but whenever you're in the arena, it just a win's a win, man. It's just like I don't know. When you're there in the heat of the battle and everybody shows up, it's just like they all mean so much. I don't know how else to put it.
It's a lot of work that goes into it,
Yeah,
beforehand and at the time of the contest.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, a lot of preparation, a
So
lot of.
have you always been super competitive, just like even before you got into horseshoeing?
Yeah, I never realized I was competitive. I think because I was always around competitive people. Like I used to play sports, so like you know, to say you're competitive when you're playing on a team like a baseball team, there's 9 players and then there's some on the bench. So it's like you got a team with 10, 15 guys. Everyone's competitive. So it's like you don't really realize you're competitive till later, and your wife's like saying how competitive you are, but you don't really realize that. You're just kind of doing that. And then I look back and whenever you reflect and you're like, where did that come from? And I think that comes mostly from my mom's side of the family. They're all athletes. Well, I say all, but at some point they all played sports. So I had a college that played
Yeah.
college baseball, and I had an uncle that played college baseball, an aunt that played college softball. My brother's playing college baseball right now. I have a younger brother that plays college baseball. He's a pitcher. So
Man, baseball runs in your family then.
yeah, that side with my mom's side of the family, yeah, it kind of does. And I played, but like I wasn't like a starter on the varsity as a freshman. I wasn't none of that, but I played. And then I got into roping later, and then just continued competing. I've never really stopped competing. Competing's always been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
So
you
where did
did were you like more competitive? Do you think towards the roping, just because like did you just like horses more?
No, no. I, I got into that when check this out. Hang on one second, guys. I can't see you. I'm gonna see if Veronica can fix this. She's got the touch on this.
yeah.
All right, there we are. It was kind of weird. I was looking at like a. All right, yeah. So the roping. Yeah, I moved to Colorado for one year with my mom and did my freshman year of high school out there. And I was up in Silverthorne. I don't know if you guys know about Silverthorne, but there's snow on the ground more
I don't.
more more in the year than there isn't. So I got into
Oh wow.
snowboarding,
So
but
it's
I
up there in
did.
elevation.
Yeah, it's way up there. It's up there by that Kremlin contest that they've been having
Oh,
now.
okay.
But anyway,
Yeah.
it snows there a ton, and I'm not really like I snowboarded and did that for while I was there, but it wasn't like a passion. I didn't. It wasn't like enough to keep me there. My mom was there, so I had that. But then I moved back with my dad, and that's when I got into roping. He was roping at the time. He was kind of dabbling in it, and so I got into it, and then did some high school rodeo, and then eventually went on to college rodeo. Went from there. Kind of worked out pretty sweet
Where did
because
you end up going to college then?
yeah. So that's what I was gonna get at right there was it worked out to where they offered me a scholarship. It was like I don't know, like it wasn't a full ride, but it was like a percentage, whether I don't remember exactly, but they offered me to go on the rodeo team, and I was already looking at the school to go for shoeing. It was a community college in Tucumcari, and
Oh,
the farrier that I had told me that Jim Keith was his teacher, and he was teaching at that school. So I was seeking out Jim is really what I was doing, but it kind of all fell into different places, and it worked out to where I was able to do the rodeo with the shoeing school. So I was gonna go either way, so it kind of worked out. I was able to take my horses and rope all the time, and hit a few rodeos when I could. You know.
so you knew who Jim Keith was before you went to college and wanted to go to shoeing school?
Okay, I got a little bit of that, Riley. You said I knew who Jim Keith was, and then I lost you there.
Yeah, did you know who Jim Keith was as like a farrier or whatever before you had wanted to go to shoeing school? Like, did you know that he was who he
Yeah,
was?
yeah. I knew of him because of my farrier. My farrier went to school, and Jim was his teacher. So I was seeking out Jim, but Jim wasn't
Oh, nice.
teaching by the time I went to college. That was in like 2003, and Jim had retired from the school. So I missed him. I missed him. I don't know exactly, but I think I just missed him by a few years. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's kind of where that was going. Yeah, I ended up becoming friends with him. I love Jim. Jim's a great dude, and I've been able to become friends with him later through competition. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
met up with him at contests, and we got to talking. And we're from New Mexico, so you see him NMPHA things and things like that.
But it was probably still a lot of Jim Keith's lesson plan, I'm sure, like that was at the community college that you went to, or was it really changed up from what
Yeah,
he had started?
yeah. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I'd have to talk to Jim about that. We'd have to talk. I don't know exactly. There was a man running it that was turning it over, and his name was Nate Allen, and he was turning it over to Jacob Butler, and Jacob Butler's Butler Doug Butler's son. And I ran
Is
into them
Jacob the
guys
one
a
that does
couple of
the
years ago.
is Jacob the one that does the Farrier Focus podcast?
I think that's his other brother. So yeah, they got a bunch of brothers that shoe horses.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, our internet is kind of cutting in and out, so we're hearing parts of your answers or whatever. But
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I lost you, Gav. I can't even see you there. I can see Riley good.
Can you?
dang it.
It's all good. I could hear
So
you.
how long was the shoeing school like 2 years there at the community college, or how long was it?
Yeah, it was a 2 year farrier science degree. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, and I didn't
Do
get
they
my
still they don't
official
have they don't,
diploma. I put in the 2 years, but I
oh,
didn't I didn't I didn't stay around for a third year to get my diploma. I had other credits like your basic, your regular studies. I didn't pass all that, so yeah, I didn't get my diploma, but I passed all the horseshoe and stuff and got through that. So you guys hear me good now?
well, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that there was I didn't know that there was another like horseshoeing school or farrier school other than like the Walla Walla one where I went, where you get an associate's degree out of it. But they don't still do the school there at Tucumcari, do they?
I'm not sure. I couldn't. I don't. I'm not sure right now. I haven't heard anything lately.
Yeah.
They had a good
So how
facility and
long
they were doing
after
a lot of
shoeing?
clinics.
Nice. How long after shoeing school did you get hooked up with Craig?
Craig, so it goes. I met when I was in shoeing school. There was a kid that was working with. He wasn't a kid at the time. He was working with Mike Stone, and he would leave to go back home to work with Mike. And he would always say, Mike's got a bunch of horses, and if anyone wants to jump in to go shoe. And so they asked me, and I did. And so that was how I met Mike Stone. I met Mike Stone, and then through hanging with Mike and shoeing with Mike a bunch, I ended up meeting Craig, and at my first contest met Craig, and later down the road we finally hooked up, and I got a chance to go ride with him, and pretty much took any chance I could ever take to go ride with Craig, or actually any horseshoers in the area that took me on.
Do you remember what it was like going to that first horseshoeing contest?
Yeah, I was out of place. I didn't know. All I knew was Mike Stone. I didn't really know anybody there. Uh, it was a great clinic. Billy Crothers was the judge, and man, he did a great job. I mean, just grinding he just stood at the anvil, made shoes, shot a front end of a horse, and it was a cool demo. I can still remember he did 1 foot. He said, I'm going to do 1 foot like I do in a competition. I'm going to do the other foot like I do daily work. And pretty much the only difference was like the process, It was like when you looked at the finished work, they were really similar. So that was my introduction, and man, that was solid. That was a hell of a contest too, man. There was some great competition there. And Austin was there, Mark was there, Craig was there. The AFA team at the time was there. All these guys, I had no idea, but when when the shoeing started, I got it was great, and it was cool because I was in the it was in the novice, so I got a chance to go watch those guys. So I was walking around like my eyes were falling out of my head. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I didn't even know it existed.
How did you do? How did you do at that first contest?
I think I was second or third. I think Jake Engler's brother won it. I was in the same division as his brother. I don't know if you guys know his younger brother. Yeah, Jesse. Yeah. I think he won it. Either he was first or second, and then there was another guy in there, but I don't remember exactly who they were. I don't see them enough to.
So after that first contest, were you just ready for more? Were you like, sign me up, I want to go to the next one, or how long? Like,
well, even before that contest, when I met Mike Stone, I can remember coming from college, and we would go to his shop, and the first time I ever went to his shop, I can remember watching him make a shoe, and I was like, man, that's what I want to do. And he just looks at me and he's like, you don't make no money doing this. Like, the money's in the shoe. I said, well, I understand that, but I can see what's going on here. You know what I mean? I could see that what he was doing with his tongs and his hammer is going to help, that skill. I could just see that skill set is going to take you a long ways in your own business, right? Because I'm just a shoeing school student. Right? I've only had a pair of tongs for a couple of months.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was cool. Meeting Mike is pretty much what got it going for me. And I still hang out with Mike. We still shoe horses. And he was at the shop last night, him and another guy, Chase. And, even if he comes and doesn't make any shoes or anything, makes any horseshoes, and he's there, and his advice is always solid, because he's just a solid horseshoer. Like there's no weak side of him, He's solid in anatomy. He day-to-day grinder. He shoes all day long. He's under a lot of horses, and that was my beginning, is working with that guy. And so that's what I knew. Is just, you got to be solid, So the basics were important, and So I love having him around because it's like having that dude that like, hey, he don't let you slip because you might start looking at things funny, and he's like, hey, remember, what's important.
Mm-hmm. So when Mike took you on, did he take you on as like an apprentice and then like just have you doing just like regular like apprentice type things, or did he just let you go straight into like shoeing, like pulling shoes or actually trimming feet? Like how was that process?
It was kind of a slow process. When I finally moved home, I had worked with him. I'm trying to think. I think I worked with him one school year, and then I came home for the summer, and we just went at it. Yeah, I mean he knew like where I was in my levels. So there was certain things I was allowed to do, certain things I wasn't allowed to do. In the beginning, yeah, of course, it was just a finish. And depending on where we were, if we were at like high end barns, it was understood what I could and couldn't do. And then when we were at areas, where it was backyard horses, a little more relaxed, and clients were just happy to get shoes. They weren't, and a lot of times they weren't even there. He would turn me loose little by little, and I could trim,
Mm-hmm.
and he would adjust my trim either with the rasp or with a fit. And yeah, we just started from ground zero finishing, and worked my way up. And it was my goal, to each day I was trying to get to where I could do more and do more. And I wouldn't ask him. I'd just wait till he let me because I wanted him to see it in the work, and just because everyone could talk, I can do this,
That's
I can do
important.
that, but everyone says they can do this and that, and then you get them under there, and you're like, "Whoa, man, don't touch another foot today. You're gonna just watch me."
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll go
Yeah.
somewhere, where we can at least talk about this because in front of the client, that's not going to work, right? So that's
Yeah.
kind of
Not
how
there.
things went.
Yeah, I think more people should like understand that, like it's not about what I'm going to tell you I'm going to do. It's just like let the work speak for itself, slowly but surely. You build up and you get better, and don't let your ego get in the way thinking, you know,
Oh,
uh,
definitely,
out of shoe
definitely,
in school, I should be able to do this work. Yeah, it's important.
yeah.
So do you I agree, like one thing, like Stone is so solid of a horse, like he goes most of the time, he wins best shod foot for his category at
Yeah.
the WCB. Like,
And
Yeah.
like not be competing like super serious. Like he'll just come
no, he
into a
just shows up
contest
and
and
does
just get
great because
best
he's
shot
like
put.
he's so solid, dude.
Solid.
And like, do you think that then like helped you out a shit ton then for your start? Is that you have that solid foundation just nailed into you?
It's freaking priceless, man. I should have, looking back on it, we get paid daily, but the English got it figured out. I should have been working for him, and not getting paid anything, getting fed. Is really what I should have been getting. And then basically I was in a roundabout way, but yeah, man, Mike, he was you. And at the time I was younger, dude. He never really gave me any slack. Like there was no. I knew I had to get it together. If I didn't get it together, this dude might not let me ride in his truck anymore. And that was like a daily deal. I felt like that all the time. Like, hey man, I could mess this up. And on the other side of that is respect for his business. Like I'm thinking to myself, okay, I just came out of shoeing school. Well, this guy's been working all these years to build this business. Here I come straight out of school. I can't ruin this for this guy. I gotta have it together. Like I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta elevate. I gotta continue to get better with my job. And I took that from him and took that to every other guy I worked with, and just always, yeah, always. And with the internet and with the comments and all that shit, so much damn talk, It's easy, man. Show up and get in
Yeah.
the arena. The talking stops. It's over.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
true. It's true.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. So is that probably a lot of like, is that what you like about competing? Like it's putting your money on the line.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think for
Money
me,
where your mouth is.
Yeah.
for sure. And I think for me, day to day, you know, every day you're working on your skill. You're going to clients. You're working on horses. You're always, you know, looking at your jobs, and you're always trying to get better and better. And then you take that and put that out against your peers, against guys who are better than you, guys who have been around longer than you, have way more experience. Put that out and see what it does. And not only that, on top of that, different judges. Yeah, okay, so maybe I won against a guy that trims dry feet. I want to win against a guy. I want to win with a judge that trims wet feet. I want to win against. I want to be able to do the right job for anybody who, you know what I mean. Like I'm working for them. Is this what you want?
Basically, to become
Yeah.
like an all-around farrier, essentially. Then, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you hear
If
guys
you
say
can do that test.
yeah. And you hear guys say you can't do that in wet climate. You can't do that in dry climate. Okay, well then do it. Do
Yeah,
it.
you hear that. You hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how
That's always,
how can one guy from a dry climate go and win on the East Coast?
Having very confident hand skills.
Well, yeah, the hand skills, but
yeah, that's how you're doing it. I
of
feel
course,
like, you know,
of course, and the experience
that
of
is
working
so
with
hard
guys,
to like,
super hard.
yeah. And it's like, man, it's so like, it's hard to fight our own stupid fucking brains because they want to do what we like do every fucking day. You know what I mean? But so it takes a lot of skill to just like, that's not what you're going to do, brain. You're going to do what this guy wants to do today.
To a point, you know, the anatomy's there. The anatomy's there. So
Yeah.
yeah, of course, there's this and that, but there's no hidden secret that I know that this guy don't know. No, you just lay it out, and show him the hand skill, show it to him to where he can't deny it, to where he's like, damn man, that was a hell of a trim.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care where you're from.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so freaking hard. That's what makes it like people like in any like, you know, place you go, like good UFC fighters, good wrestlers, they don't leave it to the judge and to discretion. They win because they win. Like they make it a win. It's not, they aren't leaving it up to no judges. And like that is one thing that's like like you guys at your level, like is just, man, hats off to you that you guys can do that with your, you know, with yourself. And it's like, it didn't come easy, I don't think.
Well, and that's a part of
Obviously.
it. That's part of it. It don't come easy, and that's the thing. You have to go get it. You know, every opportunity. Like I said, if a guy gave me any interest, like I remember Jim Quick offered to do the 2-man with me. I fought any way I could to practice for that 2-man we were going to do, with or without him, whether I could get with him or not, and just be as prepared as I could when we got there. Whether we could get together or not, it was like this dude gave me an opportunity. It's time. It's go time. Like let's make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really what it is. It's like how many people do you know let an opportunity slip? How many of you guys, Riley or Gavin? When have you guys let one slip? But you know that, right?
Have.
You learn from that experience.
Yeah, you regret them, and you fucking.
But it ain't over. It's never over.
One time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we were gonna do good. We were gonna do good before we started practicing.
Yeah, but then you're like, yeah. But it's hard. Like that's the one thing about you I think that people don't get is like you said it, whether or not he was there. Behind closed doors, you are freaking charging hard and you aren't posting about it or doing it. Like it's not the fucking, you don't need the daily like pat on the back. You're in it for the long haul. Like that is.
Yeah.
How do you stay after it? Or.
Yeah. I mean, I admire what you do, Riley. I think it's cool. And I think, you know, don't take offense, but I feel like you're on an artistic edge. You know, you have this you have this artistic to you, and it's pretty cool. And I like watching it. I enjoy watching it. And like I said, I'm a fan of Forging Brains. This is my shit. This is the shit we do. Like why wouldn't I be? Right?
Yeah.
You guys are talking about
Yeah.
contests. You're asking other people about contests that I've either been to or I'm going to, or it's just it's what we do. So it's all cool, man. It's all good. Yeah, the internet's good. I like looking at Gavin. He's shoeing horses for the public. It's cool. I guarantee you, man. I look at some people's posts and I'm like, I don't know if I would ever post that. And then I think to myself, you ought to be watching what Gavin's doing. Gavin just did a good job over there. You ought to go. Yeah, that's what I should put in the comments. Hey, go check out Gavin's page.
That would help out a lot. It ain't easy, but
hey,
yeah, I mean, just trying to do something different,
Put the kids to bed, man. I'm going to give you some clickbait today.
Perfect.
We're going viral.
All right, this podcast is rated explicit. It's rated explicit. Fucking no crybabies here.
That's good.
Oh shit. Damn.
Dude, it's fucking hard though because like I don't think that the people see it. You know what I mean? Like, dude, props to the Jim Quick that calls us all fucking out because like I don't think some of us are like, dude, I know I've learned a lot from people calling us out. Like, Jim, dude, that's where it's free criticism right there.
Oh man, I tell you what, Jim Quick is a bad hombre. I got a chance to work with him. I went and competed at Calgary with him. And I used to go up to Colorado and we'd sweat shirts out, in that shop of his. We'd sweat one out, hang it on the fence, put another one on. It was just like this dude was giving me every little bit of knowledge we could to go in Calgary, and doing the 2-man with him was like, damn, you can't ever turn back. It's like those are memories forever, man. He knows it. I know it. Solid, man. Good people. We're lucky. Look at Tom, man. You guys did Tom the other day. That dude is great. Great people.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Yeah. We got a lot of feedback on it. Like, a lot of people loved old Tom Willoughby. Like,
got nothing but love for those guys, man.
We just had fun doing it.
All those guys. And, and I might say a bunch of names today. I might say a bunch of names. But what people got to realize is that Chris didn't just make Chris he's just a great dude. He could just do it or whatever. Now, I'm made up because of all these different people. That's why I've been able to achieve the successes I've had is because of those people, because of the opportunities they gave me. Yeah, I had to jump on it, but at the same time, they were willing to do it. Get in the shop with Jim Keith. Get in the shop with Mark Milster. These guys are great. I got nothing but love for these people. Craig, man. Look at Craig. Craig's doing videos on the internet nowadays. There's no excuse in the world. This dude is laying it out for you. In his own shop, he's showing you exactly. It's like it don't get no better. What more? We got Forging Brains. Shit, man.
Like not only does Craig lay out the videos, Craig also gives you a fucking place to go. Like multiple times a year.
Yeah.
Like if you want.
Yeah. There's no comparison. Nobody puts on a contest like Craig. Solid. Best, hands down, the best in the world.
How many contests have you missed? How many WCBs have you missed since this began?
I think the only
because I don't think it's very many.
Yeah, I think the only people who have gone to more than I have is the people who put it on. As far as competitors, I don't.
That's what I was thinking.
No. I think I missed a season and maybe a few more. So maybe let's say 7, maybe 10, maybe 10's stretching it.
Yeah, it's not very many, and they've put on quite a few. So they're missing 10 out of, how many years have they been going now? 12, 13? No longer than that, right?
Since 08 was
they
the
do 5 a year
season, I think. 5. They used to be 5 a year. I think we're down to 3 now.
Yeah, so that's 14. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's incredible.
Do
You know,
you remember winning your first season?
Oh man, that was like a mountain I thought I would never be able to climb. It was like one of those where just you're right there, and then you don't, you're like third, or you're second, or you're fifth, or whatever. And then finally the year comes where you got it and you do it, and it's like when it's all over, you're like, okay, that just happened. Like how? Okay, I got to do this again. Like how did this? How did this happen? But it's the grind, man. It's the grind.
yeah, that was a
But that
question
was
that
your
I
first
had.
thought, though, was like that you were like, I got to do it again. Like that you
Well,
weren't
yeah.
like, all right, I did this. You were like, all
You
right,
just kept going for more.
I gotta prove this again, like that it wasn't a fluke.
Well, you kind of want to prove it to yourself, right? You're like, you ask yourself, can you do this again? Like, can you practice like that? Can you practice harder? Have you learned? Have you gotten better? Is there things to work on to get better? And all those are yes, yes, there is every time, and it always gets harder.
So
It always gets harder. The competition's getting
last
better and
week we
better.
talked with last week we talked with Andrew Wells, and like what he would always say is like he felt like he was trying to please somebody else, like trying to live up to expectations that hopefully like I pleased that person and did well enough. Do you feel like you're always just trying to please yourself, and by going the next year and trying to win the national championship, you're trying to do it for yourself, or was it for like are you trying to please somebody else as well?
I think it all started with the business, right? You're always trying to build the skill for day to day business. I think that's where it really started, and it never really leaves that. That's always the importance of it. But yeah, as a competitor, and the more you get into it, and you get deep into it, and it becomes a lifestyle, and you're doing it all the time. And I think, yeah, man, it's like Tom Brady playing the football. He doesn't want to stop. It doesn't matter how old he is. He doesn't want to stop.
Yeah.
That's Craig. Craig won't stop. He keeps going and going.
No.
Just that's so it's for me. Yeah, I guess it's just a personal thing. I like going in there and competing. I like jumping in the arena, and I enjoy
You like
that.
winning.
Well, yeah, everybody does.
Like winning.
What did they say? Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
I'm a big, hairy American winning machine.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah. No, but there's been some years where I was second, and those years were great, man. I mean, of course you want first, but it was like what you went through to get there, and all the work to put in, and what you learned. Man, some of those years were big strides, towards a weak spot I had, just always trying to get better like that. That was, and still to this day, and that's what's cool about it. I love the team deals because you got to bring 4 dudes together to make it happen. The team deals are I love that.
Yeah.
And it's all horseshoeing.
Yep.
You think that it's all horseshoeing, or like that it's like with the team deal, it's a little bit like social aspect to it though, right? Like there's a team, the whole team part that's like it's a
what do you
dance. It seems like a little bit.
Oh yeah,
You got 4 different personalities. You all got to mash together 4 different styles of forging, and everything that you got to make work pretty well together. Like I feel like that part's a little bit like strays. I mean, it's still horseshoeing, but it seems like it's a little away from it at times. Like it's its own competition.
I don't know. I don't look at it that way. I look at it like it's shoeing, it's shoeing. Because here's why I say that, Riley, is like when we get together as a team, Bodie could look at my foot and I could look at his foot, and he'll tell me something I did in my trim, or And it's all related towards horseshoeing, And these are things that I'm seeing daily. So then I go back home and I'm adjusting from what I learned. And I know he's adjusting from what he learned, right? Because it's back and forth. There's some things that Bodie's great at that I'm not as great at. And there's some things that I'm stronger that I could help him, And likewise with Tom and whoever, Brian, Chad, or any of the guys I've been teammates with. They all bring something to the table that they're strong at. So I can pull from that and take it to my day-to-day work and sharpen up. So
you're basically just setting ego aside.
Oh, you have to. If you got your ego in the way, you're already sitting there at 8th place.
What it seems like too, that's like, I think like something I caught in that, what you're saying is like, you're not focusing on your teammates' negatives. You're focusing on your teammates' positives and how you could
for sure
gain them.
For sure. I think that and the ego thing is important. I think whenever, like when we sit down for dinner, like those uncomfortable conversations, like, hey man, I think you could do this. And then they say, hey, Chris, you think you could do this? Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right, I can. Because you reflect on it, right? You just did it. And a team practice, whatever you did that day, it's okay to reflect on it afterwards. I think that's the thing that everyone's afraid of is, well, I don't really want to bring it up because he's going to get pissed. And, if your dude's getting pissed, he's letting emotion get in the way already. A prime example is that interview you had with Jukes, and you asked him how he felt. Well, if we were on a team, that all you had to do is bring that up in dinner, and then we could sort it out. Like, hey, this, and this, and then you work through those little issues. That's what you got to do. That's how you move forward. Is don't let that shit get you in the head. Let's settle this shit and figure out why it's happening this way, and then we'll move forward. Because like someone jumping me is not a bad thing in my opinion. I think that's a great thing. If you're gonna pass me, that means that you hit a lick somewhere. That means that you fit quicker than I did, or you built a shoe quicker than I did. And so now you're rolling. Now you go to nail your shoe on. Now you've opened up the anvil, the fire, the vice. Because now you're on the horse, right? Because you're going to nail up. So there's a trickle down effect to it all. So I mean, and Jukes, I love Jukes. That's my dog. I mean, there ain't nobody. That dude's great. I love him. But like I say, that's just a small example, and we've had it out before. That's not nothing new. But that's what a team does. You work that stuff out. The difference is that people don't see that shit. And that's important because when people start seeing that shit, then they think it's disrespectful. And no one wants to be disrespected. That's why it's hard to do it. We don't want to do that. No, and that's one thing I tell my guys from the get-go. I got respect for them. And I will point out their strengths. But at the same time, just like they do with me, and it's expected. I'll tell them, hey, tell me what I need to do. But nowadays they know me. They don't have to tell. Like Tom don't give a shit. Tom, he'll tell you, hey, Chris, what's up with that? Oh yeah, damn, all right. And then you better believe the next foot, not the next practice, not 2 years, not 2 years from now. The next fucking foot we do, right? That's the difference.
Do better.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
I think that's great, dude. That you are like, you're not wanting to let anybody down, and like you're wanting to show up, like, and that's pretty huge. I think like
you got to. Yeah, I mean, you think of all these years of doing teams, man. I've done tons of teams.
Yeah, no, you've been on and a ton of good teams, not just a ton of teams that are like, oh, you guys went and you've done well.
Well, and like that team with Robert's a great example. Robert, Tom, and Lamar. That team, we started out with a struggle. We didn't just come out the gate winning. We went to England and we got whipped. We got beat up. We did pretty good individually. But as a team, nah, didn't work. So that night before we go home, we hash it out, right? And I always tell the guys, let's hash this shit out. They always look at me like that's uncomfortable, right? No one wants to hear it hash. What's going? But I'm joking.
Gotta
I'm
get comfortable
joking
being uncomfortable.
for sure. I'm joking, but at the same time, I want to know what's the deal. Let's get this shit settled so we can go home and prepare for the next practice, and then get better and better and strive forward. And that's what it's all about, you know. I don't think a captain is somebody who tells guys this is how we're going to do it. This is what we do. No, a captain takes the best of everybody and you build a team strong. You know, there's been incidents where we've had a weaker teammate and maybe he wasn't doing so good, you know, and one guy feels like it's his job to help him. Well, then now that guy's job suffers. In the end, we stop. Hey, at the end of it, no, wait a minute. It's not your job to make sure he's doing it good. It's his job to get better, for one. We'll start there. And then it's all of our job as a team to make sure he does better.
Do you have a team that sticks out in your mind that was like one of the most memorable teams, or have they just all been like super great, or was it the first time you were ever on a team that was like the best time, or just this last one you were on? Like, is there any of them that are most memorable to you that maybe it was like the most fun?
Yeah, a bunch of different reasons, fun and all that. Yeah, I was on one with Craig when we went to Calgary, and man, that was a learning experience. Some of the first teams I was on with Travis Coons,
What year was that?
ooh, '07 maybe, somewhere in there.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
But
I hadn't even thought about shoeing horses then.
yeah, so yeah, some of the early teams with Travis Coons were I mean, it was like overload. This dude was his shoeing IQ was through the roof, and here I am, I'm barely hanging on by a thread. So those were very good years because that dude is solid horseshoer. It's hard to beat. Day to day work, that guy takes his time and does a hell of a job. You know, so those early teams were good. The first team when we won the classic with Dusty Franklin and Trey Green and Travis, that was cool. Because I always thought the classic was the best contest ever. You know, to me that was a great deal. You know, so I just felt like when you finally win, it's like, damn, we got to come back and do this again, man.
Hell
This
yeah.
was the shit. And then that team that we did come back and do it, you know, with Tom and Lamar and Jukes. And then every team I've been on with Bodie, you know, Bodie's like my brother, man. That's my dog. That's my big dog right there, you know. So it's like Bodie's, man, that dude's like MJ in the '80s, man. When he was first coming into the league, it was like all this talent and a guy like you can't beat this dude. You know what I mean?
It's incredible to see.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing but love and respect
It's
for all
incredible.
the teammates I've ever had, man. They've all helped me and taught me something and you know, hopefully I was able to give something back to them too, you know, and they can have those memories that I got. I don't know, maybe.
Well, exactly what you're saying right now is exactly what everybody that we've talked to, your name has pretty much come up in a conversation and be like, dude, what we got from
Yeah.
Money was like, you know, we can't thank him enough for what he shared with us, you know, and then you're
Oh, that's
saying the
cool.
exact same thing, what they gave to you, like,
That's
you
cool,
know,
man. Yeah,
it's a
and
roundabout way. Like everybody's out there to help each other.
that's like I say, you know, when I was telling you guys about you know, it's a combination of everyone. There's guys that help you more because you know maybe they give you the opportunity more, but you know, like Craig has helped me tremendously, man. It's freaking out of this world, and continues to this day. You know, being able to go shoot horses with him, and just always taking something back. You know, it's money in the bank.
Well, I think it's a pretty cool thing that like you've mentioned it multiple times of it helping your everyday work. and of like your everyday business, and of like going and shoeing horses with Craig every day, of how good it is. So it's like, what has competing done for you in your business?
Oh man, it's all kinds of shit. I can shoe horses. I can shoe horses pretty efficiently and do a hell of a job. You know, I'm not spending a lot of time bent over. I can get through them pretty good. And I mean, I don't have a business like some of these guys shooting Olympic class horses and all that, but I think if they let me go with them, I could shoot to their level. So what does it matter? I mean, I could,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, it probably comes a lot down to is just like your geographic location. There's probably not a lot of Olympic level dressage horses around you. You know?
A lot of that. A lot of that. We don't have big barns. You know, we don't have the numbers that some of these places like Texas and California, and you know, they got big barns. They got big 100-horse barns. You know, 60-horse barn. We got a few, but we don't have a lot. You know, so. And I've never really got. I've shot horses in some of those, but.
Don't you still, like, once a week or whatever, or once every month, don't you get together with Mike and Vince and Craig or whatever and share that one barn? Or you guys still do that?
I'm sorry, I lost you there. Do that one again.
Do you? I remember you guys saying like you guys shared like a barn with like you, Mike, Vince, and like Craig. Do you guys still do that?
Yeah, we do that.
Like you go out once a week with them, or is it like once a month, or?
It's every 6 weeks. We go to a barn and we do anywhere from 25 to 30, sometimes 20. It's a barn mixed with a bunch of different clients, and you know how business goes. You get some that come and go, and young ones, old ones, whatever. You know, we do them all. It's a wide variety of a day.
Who's more of a hoot to work with? Who's more of a hoot to work with, Mike Stone or Craig?
Oh, they got their ins and outs. I think for me, it's always been Mike because we've worked together so much. But yeah, Craig, I tell you what, you get those two together, there's no telling what's going to happen. Those two guys are a trip. They're funny together. It should be a show. It should be the Southwest Farrier show over there for sure.
Like I just hear some of the stories with Craig or whatever, like leaving a check or grabbing a check or whatever, and it just kind of makes me wonder if it's true. You know, like you've been with them, or like just silly stories like that. You know, so
he's funny.
Wonder.
He's funny.
Be funny.
Yeah, I used to shoot a lot of horses with Craig.
Working with Craig. Do you got any funny stories, like in particular?
He's when I first started shooting with him, he was funny. He used to eat burrito in the morning, and they would hit him pretty hard on the way to work. So that was always funny watching him squirm, trying to find somewhere he had. I don't know. I can't remember, man. I can't really remember. I'm sure if you ask him,
the coffee and the burritos hitting him at one time.
I've had those moments and they suck. I hate it when that happens.
Yeah,
that's my life story right there.
And then if you're somewhere where you can't pull into a gas station or something, you got to get creative. Yeah. So I got a question for you guys.
Shoot.
Mm-hmm. So what's your guys' goal with the forging brains? I like how you do the video. I've always thought that was cool. Like I always thought if I ever did a podcast, I would like to always see the face, you know. But what are you guys looking in the future? What you just continue with the what do you guys got planned?
Well, in all honesty, like I see a bunch of these other like major platforms out there where they're kind of like starting off with these like video platforms where they're just talking to, other guests or whatever, and kind of like in our field, like we have some podcasts where they just talk to, the the highlighted guys or whatever, and they just kind of ask like the plain Jane type questions, and we kind of wanted to get into like the deeper thoughts, of like why this person, like when we asked you, like are you doing it for yourself or are you doing it for somebody? Like we want to know those kinds of things about that particular person, and just have it more of like a personable experience between us and like the guest, like you. What
Yeah,
do you
like
think,
the
Riley?
mindset.
Yeah, it's like too. It's like it's like I've like Craig says it too. Of like travel is one of the best things for you, and so it's like I've been really thankful of getting to travel places, like, and go hang out with people and work in their shops with them, or go to a competition and like hang out and talk to people after your go and stuff like that. And like,
Yeah.
that's been huge for me. And that's been like a lot. And it's like, you get to hear about how they live their everyday life. You get to hear how they handle their finances a little bit. You get to hear about how they afforded things in their shop and how they're going to plan a kid into their life and things like that. And it's like, I think there's a lot of people out there, they don't expose themselves. And so they're sitting at home, they're listening to these other bullshit podcasts. And not even bullshit. And I'm not even saying the barrier ones, but just like other things where these people are fucking talking about buying all these new things and being all fucking flashy. You know what I mean? And it's like, I just wanted there to like, I wanted to get that talk at the contest on the air. You know what I mean?
Hell
Like
yeah.
that talk at the bar that you're hanging out with a dude, or like, I wanted to get that where everybody could fucking hear it, and they could hear from guys like you that it's not like you aren't just magically gifted at being a fucking horseshoer. You are a really, really hard worker, and
not
like,
just
but
patting each other on the back all the time.
no, not yeah. It's not just like butterflies all the time. You know, it's like you had to like go without some things probably, and it's like. That's what I wanted to get that out there and get everybody's like a little bit of their story out there, like that it's not all amazing. Like it's especially with Facebook right now, like that takes the lead of like it's everybody's stupid highlight reel. I'm guilty of it too. It's easy to make it like, man, the fucking perfect life. You know, it's like, money, you've said it to me. You're like, man, the life of Riley. It's like, well, it's nice for people to hear the fucking life of Riley sucks ass sometimes, you know? It's not always that good. And you just you gotta grind this shit out, dude. It's like, it's fucking the way it goes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man.
We lost you on that one.
Oh, I said I'm glad you guys are doing that.
Something I wanted to. Oh, thank you, man, and it means a lot hearing from a guy like you that you want to hear this stuff and that you think we're doing good, because like in a way like. Like it or not, we are a representative of the WCB world in a way, and not even just that world, like of the forging crowd. Like, you know what I mean? Like everybody wants to call us the fucking hammerheads, and it's like I wear that title pretty proudly. Call me what you want to call me. Like I'm happy of it. Like, but we haven't really had a voice for our side, and so it's like it's nice to hear that like people think that we're doing okay, like that we're doing our side a little bit of justice.
Something that I wanted to express, kind of like what you're saying, is like everyone thinks we're just going around beating our chest, like pounding our own egos, like, ooh, I can do this so good. Like, the thing that I wanted to help try and get out there is like when you go to these events and you go to these contests, everyone's there to help each other out. It's not a big ego boost, like that's what kind of gets misconstrued all the time, like especially with social media, like on these specific pages or whatever. It'd be like, oh, you're a hammerhead or whatever. You're just going to these contests to stroke your own ego. Like, no, it's not like that. We're all in it for each other, and
for sure.
We're all here to help each other out, basically.
For sure, man. Yeah. Yeah, and then, like all these little things that are happening, coming into this, that would have been great to hear what guys, thought and how they go about doing things, and watching Gavin trim feed and Riley forging and Craig laying down shoeing jobs all the time, putting them up there, that's cool to watch. I feel like my part's in the arena. If you want to see my work, you just got to go to the contest. You can see my work.
Help better it.
One of these days, I
So
might get on
something
there.
you've also gotten pretty deep into, money.
Yeah,
You've done a bunch of tool making.
yeah,
Like you've probably made most like you could probably make a whole set of shoes or everything with using only
yeah,
your tools, which is a pretty cool thing. Like what
yeah.
led you down that path?
Probably mostly Jim Keith and working with Jim Quick, making tongs with Jim Quick and Jim Poor. I mean, Jim Poor, that dude is like, there ain't nobody better, man. Who gives more than Jim? That guy is giving
Yeah.
and giving. That guy never stops giving, man.
Nobody.
He's freaking amazing. But yeah, going to gyms and working with Jim and realizing that I'm more like minded like him, you know. Yeah, I don't do the machining, but he didn't always do the machining. And you know this, Riley, been going out there is you get a chance to forge with him and it's like it's pretty slick, man. You're gonna learn something. You better pay attention.
Yeah.
I was
That's
impressed at how fast he is.
Oh, slick, man. Efficient.
what, or if you think that you invented something, you're like, oh Jim, look, I came up with this thing, and he shows you a
No.
die with like rust on it. He's like, yeah, I did that 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm
He
saying.
knocked it out,
Yeah, Jim Keith's the same way. You go to Jim Keith's shop, he's
dude.
got all kinds of shit in there. And you get a chance, it's like taking a tour, man, on a like a timeline. You could see so many different things of how he, you know, you could see how he's built to where he's at with his tools, you know. Yeah, he's not making tools now, but you know, at the time when he was making tools. And I tend to make more tools more like those guys, you know. I'm like a production type. I don't do the numbers like they do, but I do batches, you know. I don't do just one tool at a time.
Yeah,
I'll do a batch of something, you know. Like if someone calls the order, it may be a while because I don't just make that one tool for them. I'll make a batch and I'll sell them one, and then maybe sell another one over here down the road, and then two more I got. And when I get a call, they're sold right out the gate, you know. So I always like to do them in a batch.
yep. And is the batch, do you think, a little bit of a test against yourself so you can see if you can be super consistent?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the horseshoeing. You know, it goes back to like practice. When you practice, you're making one. All right, and then you get better, and then you get better, and then you get better. Then you get into a groove, and you're just like, you hit that groove where it's just like you can't make them wrong. So I think that's why I do the batches, because you get into
Yeah.
that where, yeah, maybe you have one bad, but then you got 7 or 10 that are, you know, dialed in.
What do you like making the most?
Hammers and tongs. I really like making tongs. I really like to make tongs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what do you like? So in your mind, I would love to hear, because it's like, to me, you have, it's such a it's like you're gonna make tongs that are good for making horseshoes because you're a good horseshoe, like because you're a really good farrier and a blacksmith. So it's like, in your mind, what makes a good pair of tongs?
Well, it kind of gets a little funny when you're making them for the public because you're trying to, and you know this making hammers. Like my kind of tongs that I like are light tongs. But 99% of
How I like them.
horseshoers out there couldn't use my tongs because they'd probably spring them in the first 2 seconds because they give a little bit, and when they feel that give, they just keep gripping, and that's bad. You're gonna spring them. So I tend to make for the public. When I tell Mike Stone, I call it the Mike Stone line. It's the gorilla. It's the gorilla style. Make them. They might not be the prettiest, but they're gonna hold up. You know, you get.
There was a time when I was working for Derek Cook, and he had two sets of tongs in his rig. He had basically a pair of 3/8 tongs for flat stock, and he had a pair of 3/8 tongs for concave, and
Yeah.
I didn't know the difference between the two because I just started working for him, and he thought I was using one of them or whatever, and he thought I had sprung him, but I was using the wrong tongs, and dude, I got an earful that day. Like, he was not happy with me, but I never, since that day, it stuck in my head. I was like, okay, I gotta make sure I'm grabbing the right damn pair of tongs here because I do not want to get yelled at again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it scared the shit out of me that day.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then that was what it was like with Jim Quick. You know, he had two pairs of half-inch tongs. He had one pair that he could make, like his standard draft shoes or whatever, and then he had a pair that he used for roadsters, and they were loose, so that rivet
Yeah, I
would
bet.
give, and so that
Yep.
the heads could adjust to a taper. It was like, man, that's brilliant. I would have never thought of that, but you learn these little
Yeah.
things like that. So and
One
So it's
person,
like,
different guy.
yeah, so people are always saying, my tongues are loose. That's not necessarily a bad thing all the time.
no. No, I think people are like, I think I'm with you that it's like everybody thinks that you're gonna hold the shoe onto the anvil by just squeezing the tongs harder instead of like prying the shoe. You almost want to, like, you know what I mean? Like, the shoe should be just kind of lying on there and you're guiding it around a little bit. Like, you aren't really
Definitely.
like, it's more of a like you're picking up on your fingers and you're pushing down on your palm a little bit, and you really only have to be doing that as the hammer is hitting the shoe, not all the time. Like, it doesn't have to just be a consistent torque on that damn thing.
Yeah,
Oh, it's rough,
adjusting
man.
them.
That's why I think one of the biggest reasons I don't make tongs for the public. Like,
Yeah, adjusting them. I'm always adjusting tongues for people. I sprung these or whatever. I'm like, all right, you go and adjust them. And I think people overlook adjusting tongs. Like, that's a part of it. That's just like your pritchel. Your pritchel gets dulled up. You have to resharpen it. You have to re-true it up. Your tongs get to where you're working. They're gonna get to where they don't fit as good anymore. So you gotta adjust them. If you're doing a lot of work, it's good. You're gonna be adjusting things. That's just how it goes. It's wear and tear.
oh, for sure. But people like don't get that literally every single tool is a consumable. They want to like think that tongs, hammers, and anvils aren't
It's the one
consumables for
all.
some reason. Yeah, it's like you buy one and they warranty it for the rest of your life.
And I
But
got
I think that's where Jim Keith was a genius, man. Like, his tongs were so, like, you weren't going to spring those things, and they're pretty popular because guys can just like,
Stout.
oh man,
yeah, very stout. And if you
Stout.
looked at his tongs when he first started making tongs, way different design. They were way more petite, and they were like what you would like. They're light,
Really?
but he had to adjust to what was happening with the clients. It's just guys, horseshoers were destroying them. They were gorilla gripping them, and so that's why he came up with that second design. But yeah, I have a few of his originals when he was, forging them out on his power hammer, and they're pretty slick. They're nice and light. They're really.
Could you send me?
Yeah, I'll send
Could
you
you send
some.
me a couple pictures of those kind of tongs? 'Cause I've never
Yeah,
seen them, and I'll put them up here in the video.
yeah, for
they
sure.
they look a lot more like an old set of J Sharps, like a
Yeah,
round jaw set of J Sharps, like they are.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that's kind of cool.
yeah,
I'd
they're
like to see those.
they're nice.
yeah, they're pretty slick.
Nice.
Yeah, they're real slick.
And I also like you have a real nice hammer design that like I love that every hammer maker pretty much you can just like see one from a little bit of ways and you're like that's who made that hammer. Like, it has its own your own character to it and its own look. Like, when you're making a hammer and grinding a hammer, what are things that are important to you on that hammer to be a good shoemaking hammer?
I think a big thing right off the bat, especially when I'm forging them, is to make sure your heads in line with your eye. You know, you don't want your eye one side or the other. You want that eye down the middle. Because my hammers are a little bit taller, so if they're off a little bit, you're gonna feel some tweaking. You know, when it hits, it might not hit as true. Um, so the eye is important, and you can move those around with the design that I have. You could, I mean, it's not my this wasn't something I came up with. These people have been making hammers like the way I make them forever. So, but that design, it allows you to move things around. You can forge things around there. So that's kind of a nice thing I enjoy about that style is I got room to fix it, and I'm not making so many hammers that are rejects. Um, and I mean, I don't grind them. A lot of my tools are rough ground, and some people that might not be appropriate for me. I'm more on like I'm a user, like, you know, they're a working man's tongue. You know, it's not quite a
Yeah, get it done. It ain't got to be
yeah.
pretty.
It's
I
not.
say you say that you say the working man tools. It's one of my favorite sayings.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
that's when I'm making things for myself. This is a working man's
yeah,
tool. It's not going to the Scotch Brite.
yeah, yeah.
That's the way I like my tools to look. You know, like I don't care what they look like as long as they do the job.
Damn right. Yeah, and that's what's important. You know, is if we can put them to work and continue using them. Yeah, that's what I like. Yeah.
Do you have like one person in mind that you think you characterize your or like build your hammers? Like, is there like one person that influenced you the most on how you build your hammers, or is like multiple people and it's just hard to say who exactly
Yeah, well,
gave you that most influence or who you learned that most from?
yeah. When I first started making hammers, Riley was kind of a part of it. He came out and we built a few different hammers together. I don't know
Nice.
if you remember that, Riley. We made a bunch of different hammers.
I definitely do. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got to mess around with a couple of different styles, and then I went to Jim Poor's, and Jim Poor's is kind of where I decided that I wanted to make it the way I make it now, and I don't know, I could probably
That's cool.
switch up some designs and do some different things, but I don't know. I'd have to break down and make some more dies.
When you're grinding up, like, do you think you have like a I know I have my ideas when I'm going to grind up like my round side and my flat side. Do you have some things that you're trying to nail when you're grinding those up?
Yeah, I'm thinking about what they're going to be used for. Can you hear me?
Oh, did we?
Hello.
I can see you guys.
Dude, that's pretty cool that
I can see you and hear you.
Like when I asked him that question, like, well, one of the first things I remember is like Riley came out to my house and showed me how to make hammers. Like,
No,
pretty sick, dude.
he knew how to make hammers. I didn't show him how to make hammers.
We already knew.
He probably had made more than me, and I was just like,
We were messing with styles.
He's kind of showing me your way, and he's just taking little tidbits from it.
We were just getting through it. we were making.
And he didn't
dies
have
and
a
trying.
power hammer there, huh? So you guys are probably just making them with a sledge and.
He had a press.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That was before I got mine. That's the reason I bought the press I bought, is because he had that same one.
He does have the same one.
I think we lost him for sure.
Can you hear me? I can hear you guys.
Jump back on here shortly. Yeah, it's pretty cool. He's got a lot of. I wish his internet service was a little bit better, so we wouldn't have no lagness. But he's got some really cool stories.
We'll get him on.
Can you check this out?
That'll be great.
Can you hear me?
That'll be even better.
No
check 1 2
whatsoever.
And here, we're always worried your internet's gonna be iffy, but
not here on the side of the road.
Not tonight. Not tonight. I was even
I'm surprised because it is a fucking monsoon outside and we're in flood watch.
Dude, yeah.
It's always something here.
We had a massive windstorm last night, and my internet was fucking in and out. So I didn't even want to risk it. So I came down to Ashley's tonight, so I made sure I had good Wi-Fi.
Dude, and, we got I think they said that we had 2 inches of rain yesterday.
It was nuts. Yeah.
It was so much.
And the highway, the 203 that I drive basically to get down here, it was closed this morning when Ashley went home.
Oh shit!
because the fucking road, the water was
Check
so
1,
high up
2.
on the road, and yeah, it's nuts.
That's
My
a
other
wild
little
deal.
tent that I have fucking blew away and ripped, and
Dude, you and
But this
those
is-
carports, dude.
No, it's not.
Costco's gonna ban you.
No, that one there I got tied down real good. That one there is still solid, but I bought a Walmart one for like $40 this summer. It's just an easy up, and I keep it over the old Ford
I can hear it through my headphones.
because the old
Can you hear
window
me,
seals
guys?
in it
Yeah, it's
kind of
not
leak a little bit of
even going
water, so I had it over the top of it so it doesn't get wet on the inside.
on. This
But
isn't normal.
yeah, the wind took that one last night.
He just texted me and said he can hear us good, but I don't know.
Check 1, 2.
If he can hear us right now. That would be interesting.
Huh? Maybe
Is Meg next to you snoring?
yeah. Can you hear her?
Check
Oh
1,
my
2.
God,
Can
yeah.
you hear?
Really? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, she's just
Oh, assed out, dude.
Can you hear me?
she's literally right next to me.
Oh yeah, I can hear her snoring the whole time. Like, Jesus, what is that noise?
Oh, I did not know you could hear her.
Good mic. It's a good mic.
Yo, sure. I wonder. Yeah, you just got to probably tell him to
Check 1, 2.
try to get back in it. I think a big thing too. So on the side here, it says like mine's 99% uploaded, yours is 99%, and his is 5%.
5?
Yeah. So after this, after we get done, I think
I just asked him. I was like, "You can still hear us?" And he said, "Yeah."
when
Check
when we
1, 2.
stop this or whatever, I think he has to leave it open until his fully uploads. So he probably have to like leave it open overnight instead of like ending like leaving for good. Otherwise, I don't. Yeah, but we're learning as we go.
Yeah, technology sucks. My least favorite part about this whole shebang.
Where is the? He
Well,
said.
Chris, if you can
try
hear us,
joining
are you
again.
going to the winter clinic this year?
I told him to try rejoining the studio,
I'll try rejoin.
so we'll see if that works. And he
Yeah.
can definitely hear us because he just said yes to the winner.
Shit, yeah.
Well, like, perfect.
It's
At
all
least
good.
we got you back, Chris. Man, we
All right.
we better try to wrap it up before we lose you again.
I do have one question though.
All right, you gotta ask
right.
it.
I got one more question for you. So something I've been thinking about that I've heard from some other podcasts that I listen to. They asked guys, who's on your Mount Rushmore? Who are the 4 guys or women that you look up to and you idolize the most that think that make you who you are today and strive to be better for? Who's the top 4 on your Mount Rushmore?
Oh man, that's a good question. I'd probably say just anybody. Is it horseshoeing?
It could be anybody. It could be your
Yeah.
dad, your mom.
I would say. You guys know who David Goggins is?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I like David Goggins. He's a badass.
Stay
Craig's up
hard,
there.
motherfuckers.
Yeah, Craig's up there for sure. I don't know who else. There's a bunch of
Yeah,
good
kind of hit you
horseshoers,
on the
man.
spot
I think
with that.
like Jim Poor's probably one of them, and maybe Jim Keith. I would say.
I had a feeling Jim Keith might make it on that list for you. Maybe it can be
Yeah,
a
Jim.
future question for future guests to think about that, and then maybe be prepared to answer that. We're kind of throwing that at you for the first time.
Yeah, that's a
here
good one.
on the
Yeah, there's a
on the
lot
Forge
of
and
there's a
Brains
lot of
podcast.
yeah, there's a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of people that you can watch on YouTube, and I learned a lot about competition and stuff watching fighters. You know, MMA fighters. I really enjoy that. I was going and getting some
Are
sports
you up to
medicine
date, like
done
on all
my
the
body.
UFC?
Somewhat. I was getting some sports
Yeah.
medicine done at a fighting facility here in Albuquerque, and so it was kind of cool. You'd run into some
Okay.
fighters every once in a while. Like, do you guys know who Holly Holmes is?
How do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen her one day.
Was she there?
There ain't she's solid. That gal is solid. I mean, there's no soft
Were
spot
you
on her.
worried? Like, I better not.
Yeah, don't look her in the eye.
Were you
Go the
worried I
other
better
way.
not pop off to her? She might whip my ass.
That's right. She would. She
That's
would too.
a crazy crowd.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I like I so like we growing up, like a kid that I wrestled with that wrestled with in high school, and like we sparred with each other and stuff a bunch. Like he's just like he's going. This will be the next UFC fight will be his second UFC fight. His name's
Damn,
Adam
what's his name?
Fugit, and Adam's making his debut in UFC. Adam Fugit, and
Sweet.
he's really handy. And then
Shout
I
out.
grew up in the same area as Colby Cummington. And so, like, grew up going to high school parties, and Colby wrestled in the same like districts that I wrestled in. He was a year older, and that is something that's like it's cool to see those guys push really hard because they were the same dudes in high school. They're just like those guys had work ethic in high school that was past what everybody else was doing. Like they were just, and they just never stopped. So I agree. That's a world that like we don't fully get, and like of how hard they push themselves physically.
For sure.
That's something you've kind of taken on yourself, but haven't you, Chris? Like that you've tried to make yourself healthier outside of the horseshoeing arena, so you could do better in the horseshoeing arena.
Yeah, and just even shoeing horses, but I think staying in shape is good. I got bad habits. I drink and smoke cigars and shit, but still, I like to run and hike or anything. You do push-ups, sit-ups. I mean, you just any type of core work you can do. Stretching. I was stretching this morning. I got to stretch before I go to bed, and it's just staying in shape to shoe horses, and then you're adding competition on top of a job that's already physically demanding. So, I look up to guys like Tom Brady. I read his book, and he talks about muscle pliability, and it's pretty cool to see an older guy that can still keep competitive. And I think that's important. So yeah, all that stuff, and success leaves those kinds of clues, and I watch all those guys, and I like watching the MMA guys, like Riley was saying, how they push their body to the limit. It's just freaking unreal, and like the work ethic behind it, the discipline they have to prepare for a fight is pretty cool. Like in my own mind, I try to think of a competition that way, and kind of set it up that way to where certain weeks you're getting ready, and you then by the time the competition comes, you're good to go.
When
Yeah.
you're preparing for a contest, do you do anything like in particular as far as like do you practice like super hard, like coming up to it, like say the first 4 weeks, and then you take like a week off before the contest and like try to rest up a little bit, or is like what's your type of like practice regimen? Like when you're preparing for a contest, like do you take time to sort the
Uh,
shoes out first and then run goes, or
well, ideally, you want time to where you can spread it out, and make the shoes and get familiar with them, and then maybe give them a break. But always stay making the basics, always making shoes for your day-to-day horses, and not, I don't think a guy has to make every shoe for every horse, but I think if you're making horseshoes, a pair here and a pair there, and just staying in rhythm like that, and staying on top of it. And I go in and out. Like this last week, I might have practiced hard one night, and then the next night not as hard, and then depending on how my body feels, push it again. Like tonight, I did a pair of journeyman fronts, and then I ran a full go, like full blown sweat in the time, rasp everything. But then the next time I'll make those shoes, I'll probably do them off the clock and just try to make them as really as good as I can, and then on the clock again. So eventually, by the time the contest comes, I'm taking that quality of making them without the time and doing it in the time. So you do one on the clock,
Like
one
a bit
off
of
the
muscle
clock.
memory.
Yeah, definitely muscle memory. Yeah, Craig said one time it takes 4 days to get muscle memory, and I'm not one for like you hear guys say like they're 50 some days and you got your body's. I think a lot of that shit fucks with your head. Why can't it be 2 days? Why can't it be the next horseshoe? I think a lot of that stuff can mess you up mentally too, because now you're thinking in 50 days I gotta be. And if you just think about what you're doing, and maybe the next pair of shoes you make have already jumped whatever you thought you could have done in fit. You know what I'm saying? Like some guys just got this weird shit thing. But I think the 4 days is pretty
Because they
accurate.
could be like doing 50 days. They could be doing like 50 days of like bad habits and almost
For
kind of like
sure.
bullshit, which is kind of like setting them back 50 days.
Yeah, yeah. So
Instead of just taking the time and take 4 days or 2 days.
Yeah, so then by the time you hit that mark, you're like, well, I'm not where I want to be, but statistically I should be. Like, nah, fuck all that. I ain't into that. You just stop looking. Just go to the basics and grind it out. Grind it out right then and there. So yeah, I think that's one of the best ways. That. On the clock, off the clock, on the clock, off the clock, and you just break it up in days. Like I don't think I made a qualifier since Tuesday. So Monday I made it in the time, then Tuesday I made it out of the time, and then today I went in. So you break it up. Yesterday I made draft shoes. Just a little bit of everything.
So you're not killing yourself every night.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you leave tomorrow for convention.
Monday morning.
Compete.
Yeah.
Are you feeling Monday? Are you feeling pretty solid in it?
Yeah, I'm feeling strong, and I feel like I've got a good handle on the shoes. This year was a tough year, like going out and judging and doing clinics and traveling and hunting, and like everything hit in one year. So whenever I was asked to judge, I was making shoes that were on the AFA list because I knew that come this time of year could be a crunch for time because of my elk hunt. So I was thinking if I make them ahead of time throughout the year as specimens, well then by the time convention comes, I'm not trying to learn shoes all in a couple of weeks. I've already learned them, and now I just got to refresh on them and then take it to the con. So looking at the schedule ahead of time, hopefully saves my ass on that one.
That's smart. When we were talking to Patrick and Mackenzie, Riley asked him, do you like judging? And Patrick's like, man, it's a lot of fucking work. Do you like to judge?
Yeah, I don't think it's the work for me. I think more it's hard being around the arena when you're not in there competing, For me, I'd rather just because you got guys complaining about this and that.
Be doing the work.
Yeah, I'd just rather be in there, competing.
Doing it.
Just doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. How about you, Gavin? You going to compete again? You.
Oh, I imagine it'll probably happen here. Yeah.
Yeah, it struck for you a while back in Edgewood.
You did?
Yeah, I think it's been a long time, though. You were in Edgewood, I struck for you. I don't know if you remember that.
I've only been to Edgewood once, and that
was probably the time.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
Was it a contest?
Yeah, maybe. I've only been to Edgewood once. Yeah. Fuck. Where was the last one that I went to? It's been a while, but I imagine after kind of doing this with Riley and just kind of spending some more time with him and talking to him, it kind of is making me want to go back and start doing it again.
Yeah.
Just gotta focus on it and do it. It's a grind. And for me, when I'm doing something, I like to give all my effort to it. I don't like to 50-50 things, and that was kind of a big thing when I was rodeoing, back in college or whatever. I didn't want to keep rodeoing anymore because I was giving 50% of my energy to shoeing school and 50% to riding bucking horses, and riding bucking horses is dangerous. So when you're only giving yourself 50% of energy to two different things, that you're not gonna do great at either of them. So I guess when I'm going to contests, I like to be able to think that I can give it 100% of my attention and my energy to it, because I don't like to go there and lose. Granted, I haven't won or anything like you have, but when I am going to a contest, I like to be able to give it my 100% and
For
actually,
sure.
try to practice and put in the work. There have been some where I've thought oh, I've done a little bit of practice or whatever, I think I should be good. And usually those are the ones where I haven't done very good, and it's a kick in the nuts. And it's well, that didn't work out too good for me, And I thought I was too bigger for my britches than I was. I thought I was just gonna go in there and do well, but I wasn't. And it's moments like that make you realize you have to put in more work. You can never just be complacent and think you're good enough to keep trying to do well. So
who edits these
It'll be time
videos?
when I go back.
Oh, Gavin.
That's me. That's me.
Yeah, if there's any pictures you want, Gavin, let me know, and I'll send you some pictures, man.
Yeah, send me some pictures of your hammers and some tongs and the Jim Keith tongs.
Yeah. Yeah, hey Riley, so you're in
I'll
a
throw 'em
trailer
up there
right
for
now?
people to see.
Are you in the back of the trailer?
Dude, this is in my shoeing trailer right here.
So what would you
on the
do?
side of the road.
What would you do if it started rolling and you you were in the back?
Dude,
Somebody just starts driving off.
it's literally what I'm fucking thinking about all the time of because we're out here in the middle of fucking nowhere, even where I'm parked. And
that would be
you'll
bad.
hear a rig pull up every once in a while or come by, and I'm like, are these motherfuckers gonna rob my truck? I got a pistol in here with me, and the fucking that fucker's gonna it's gonna get flat tires in a hurry.
Oh shit!
Ain't fucking about with that.
That would be a uneasy feeling right there for sure.
Fuck.
Shit. Well, sorry about the service, guys.
Well,
shit. We'll have to do another
We'll
one.
just have to get together and do it in person.
Yeah. We appreciate it, Money. Thank you very much for joining us, man.
Yeah, you
dude,
guys
it's been a
keep
lot of
kicking
fun.
ass, man. You guys are putting out a lot of content. It's pretty cool. Keep it up.
We'll
Thank
do,
you.
man. Hopefully do well at convention, man.
All right, I'm going to give it everything I got.